Welcome to I-501CU, the podcast for nonprofit board members. I'm Michael Corley, and we're coming to the end of the year, the end of 2023. This will be released on Tuesday, December 19th of 2023. And as we think about what can we talk about for we as board members can do over the next few weeks. I tell you, the end of the year is always a really good time for reflection and just to pause. Things usually slow down a little bit, not necessarily for the development departments at your nonprofits, but for most of us, they slow down, people take off, the office is quiet. And for you board members, same thing. There's really not necessarily too much to do by year end. But I've got some suggestions. 5 things that nonprofit board members can do by year's end. 5 things. Here are 5 suggestions.
Hey, I want to jump in real quick. Somebody asked me the other day, what does the Corley Company do? Well, we do 3 things for nonprofits. 1, we facilitate meetings. Yes, like board retreats where we discuss governance and strategy with all the members of the board. Number 2, advise CEOs and help them as they make decisions and implement actions to drive their mission. And then finally, we produce podcasts such as this one, but also for a number of nonprofits to help you get the word out, get your message out. So if you're interested in any of these services, please feel free to reach out to Michael at thecorleycompany.com. Now back to the podcast.
1, read your bylaws. Yes, I'm being serious. It's always good to refresh your memory on what your bylaws say. So why not just take the time to sit back? It really shouldn't take more than 15 or 30 minutes. If your bylaws are longer than that, yikes. Really just to refresh your memory on what your bylaws say, different committee structures, different roles, responsibility to board members, those types of things. Good time to probably take a step back and just digest that, and maybe take you 1 cup of coffee to do that. Catch up on meeting minutes and committee meeting minutes. Yes, we all say we read them before every meeting, but the reality is that's not always the case. Hopefully you've got a resource, you've got all the meeting minutes, and maybe just go back through 2023 and review all of those and see what was accomplished, things that you all talked about, both at the full board level, but even at the committee level, which is a little bit more granular, a little bit more detail, just to allow you to have a comprehensive overview of the organization as you go into 2024. So just might be a really good time that may take you 2 cups of coffee because it's probably a little bit more information than your bylaws. But just, I think if you do that, you'll remember a number of things that happened this year and give you some good guidance going into 2024. All right, you can probably be around family and friends over the next 12, 13 days before the beginning of the year. You might be going to some cocktail parties. Tell everybody that you're a member of this organization. Remember, one of the responsibilities of being a board member, and we've talked about this, is you're an ambassador. So share with your friends what your volunteer role is. You're on the board, why you support that organization, the benefits it brings to the community, the impact it's making. Because who knows, maybe that friend of yours may want to become a board member, may want to become a donor. You just never know. But should always be out promoting that organization. And so over the next 12, 13 days might be a great opportunity to do that. Make a donation. Remember, we've talked about this on a number of podcasts. The board that you sit on should be your primary funding obligation. And therefore, if you've not made a financial commitment in this calendar year, it might be a good time to do that. Certainly from a tax perspective, but also from the perspective of your organization maybe going for some grants early next year. And one of the questions a lot of grantors ask is, does your board fully contribute to the organization financially? They already know time-wise you do, but financially do you? So don't be that board member that hasn't donated, impacts a potential grant. Make a contribution. Every organization is different. Some have minimums, others and most that I work with, it's a meaningful amount, something that's meaningful to you as an individual. But go ahead and make that donation to the organization. And, finally, as we come on year end, maybe one of the least appreciated or thankful positions is the executive director position. It might be a really good time just to send him or her a note of appreciation for what they've done leading the organization in 2023. We'd hope 2023 might be a little bit easier, and perhaps it was relative to 3 years ago when we're in the heat of the pandemic, but still times are challenging. It's stressful. It's tough at the top. They're being pushed by all kinds of different stakeholders. And so just to take a step back and send a note to your executive director saying, hey, appreciate what you're doing. I think that will go a long way to helping that individual, knowing that the board members do care. And hopefully you've done an evaluation, but you may do that on your fiscal year. So 5 things that you as a board member, a nonprofit board member, can do by the end of the year. Read your bylaws, read the committee meeting minutes and the board meeting minutes for the past year just to catch up. Tell a friend or family member about your involvement in the organization, make a donation, and send a note of appreciation to your executive director. There you go. Things you can do over the next week and a half, 12 days, whatever it is. And next week we'll be coming to you. It'll be another short like this one because we've got a number of guests lined up, interviews we're doing, and we wanted to wait till the first of the year to launch those when more people are listening because we're going to have some great content. So this is Michael Corley, the I-501C, the podcast for nonprofit board members. Thank you for everybody who's serving on a nonprofit board and serving in nonprofits. And I will 501C you next week.